the come up. It's the come up.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to The Come Up. My name is Nick, and these are my hot takes for the week. Joining me today to chat about the top headlines is my dear friend, artist, singer, dancer, poet, journalist, founder and director of North Omaha Information Support Everyone, aka Noise in Omaha, Nebraska, Dawaune Lamont Hayes.
What up?
Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm not always wonderful, but I'm doing my best, and it's great to be here.
You know, I have a question for you, Dawaune.
Yes.
Which do you want more, TikTok or an election?
Honestly, which one brings me more joy? And if we're asking genuinely what brings me more joy, I'm kind of a fan of TikTok.
I mean, come on now. I mean, yes. It's so funny. It's like, I didn't think that these were the decisions we were making in 2020. It's like, wow, you're going to ban TikTok, or I think that might get you voted out faster.
Honestly, no. So as soon as I saw that headline, so it's hard. I subscribe to headlines on Twitter, which turn them off. But I get that notification. I was like, you're trying to lose? Like, do you, especially with like the amount of young people that are on TikTok and how TikTok has like really revolutionized culture and engaging young people. And, you know, we saw it during Black History Month and Pride Month, and in response to the protests, like people are using TikTok as a communication platform. And that's what is so scary to this administration. Authoritarianism does not appreciate free creative speech that also is like lots of truth telling. And so when you say you're gonna ban it or shut it down, and then you have millions of people on this platform, you are not gonna have friends.
No,
you're just not. So good luck.
What I find kind of interesting in the last few days is, you know, at the same time that he is saying these things that sound very like a dictatorship and a fascist society, he's also continually railing on China, which I'm like, you can't, you're enacting the same behaviors that you're like China just announced that they're going to like hold back their election because of
coronavirus.
The coronavirus. Yeah. And they can, because that's how their government works. And it's like, you either get to say that this is not what we are, or just say that that's who you are, because you've shown it already a million times.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's really, I mean, when we're talking about freedom of speech and freedom of the press and the ability, like social media has revolutionized what those terms mean. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing, you know, Facebook statuses and tweets used in the courts of law. Now we are seeing, officers even identifying protesters and organizers in their Facebook statuses and commentary about change, like, and about protests and organizing. And so, like, that's really concerning because we have these amendment rights and the Bill of Rights and things, but we aren't. Well, they're under threat, and so it's really about like, what is our choice? So, what are we choosing to do? How do we actively defend them? And TikTok is seen as a young, rebellious, I mean, the Savage Challenge is a prime example.
Yeah.
Here you have millions of people online moving to the words of a young, educated Black woman being defiant in her femininity and her power and presence. That's scary.
Yeah.
to the power that be, you know?
Well, because it shows a level of mobilization.
Yes.
Like if that mobilization were enacted in a different way, could look very scary for this administration, and I think our government as a whole. So
very, very much so.
So we need to figure out the Savage Challenge to get people to like want to change shit.
Yeah, what's the Savage Challenge for the transformation of a nation and the entire world at the same time?
because we absolutely need it.
Hmm. Well, I think like a good example, something that you shared with me earlier in the week, is Breonna Taylor on the cover of O magazine.
Yes, I was just about to say like how incredible it is that like you're speaking about how folks are using their platforms to have these conversations, and I think that I love how conscious everyone is being about their airtime, and
Mm,
especially celebrities in this moment, because I feel like for so long, like celebrities will speak out, they'll say a thing, they'll drop a quote here, but I feel like we see athletes in their speeches after, like when they're getting questioned, they're like, my only answer is, so I really need to arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. So like this interview is really done. Oprah, for the first time in 20 years, like not appearing on the front of the cover at all. And I actually like, I also think that saying born June 5th, 1993, killed by police March 13th, 2020, like she didn't just put her face there and say like born and lost or went to heaven on this date. It was like very blatant, like this is what happened.
hmm.
Um, so like I'm like clapping for Oprah twice because
Yeah.
that was just such a brilliant move, and to paint it like to do a painting of the photo too. It's just
Mhm.
a stunning cover.
Yes, it really is, and yeah, I think specifically choosing an artistic rendering
Mhm.
that really illuminates like the beauty of this person, and having the placement and the timing. I mean, you know, it's such power to say, I will not be, I'm going to put someone else here.
Right.
And this is how much attention needs to be brought to this. Like this copy of the magazine becomes, you know, a an artifact of life and of time and of history and of the transformation. Like the fact that this has taken place in the last 20 years, and Brianna was just what just turned 20, was going to be 27.
Hmm.
That is very significant.
Like
And
our age, like she's a month older than me.
yeah, I'm like, whoa, I'm looking at June 5th, 1993. I'm July 2nd, 1994.
Right,
It's
like
like
that's right next door to us.
a year, yeah, that's like, oh, so
And and I think it's, for Oprah to get in the conversation this way, and just because of what we've been seeing in this, like nothing happens in a vacuum. Like I think that, I mean, federal agents on the ground, and and like
mhm.
what happened in Omaha with the mass arrest of folks, and
Yeah, over 120 protesters were arrested by police, and many of them were booked. And there were lots of stories of just, you know, um, prime examples of the mistreatment that we're talking about. And many of the people who were arrested were white, and many for them is the first time ever being arrested, or like encountering police force in that way. And they're just like, this is proof. Like,
Mhm.
we're out here in solidarity as allies, but like now that we are have encountered this directly, this has got to, like, it's becoming very personal and very real for a lot of people very quickly. And the fact that what we are seeing is specifically, like, very powerful Black women in society, choose, like, being like, this has to change, and this is what it's going to look like. What Beyonce just released, Black is King,
Mhm.
on Disney Plus, which I was like, I don't have Disney Plus, not even gonna make me subscribe. But like, the point being, like, that's the power that of
Yes.
it, you know what I mean? And that, think about the amount of people who are on Disney Plus and the kind of people who are there, and like what the kind of exposure that, because she could have chosen to put it on another platform, on any
Right.
platform. Anyone would have wanted the rights to that. But I think
Yeah.
very specifically putting it on Disney Plus, which, like, Disney having this kind of like very heavily white connotation, I think long term, um, y- suddenly she's in a lot of people's faces in a way, and some people who would maybe not even seek her out.
Well,
So,
it's like, yeah, and I mean, especially kids,
mhm,
like, and not only Black kids, but for the non-Black kids, the white kids that are watching, that
mhm,
that are seeing words "Black is King." That's not a narrative. That's, Like even that narrative. I mean, I feel like we always have this conversation of Black folks being kings and queens.
Hmm.
It's like a general narrative, but
Yes.
like the narrative of saying like Blackness is king, like that's a
Mm,
statement,
that
um,
is.
and that's an important statement. Um, and yeah, so I'm excited that Disney Plus is seeming to seek out artists in a very specific way right now.
Hmm.
Like the next project they're working on is Once on This Island. Um,
Wow.
yeah, they literally just announced that they're gonna do an adaptation of Once on This Island. Now, I mean, Once on This Island, written by two very white folks, Stephen Flaherty and Lynn Irons, who I love.
Hmm.
But and the story does have some flaws, but I mean, Once on This Island was the first show I ever did. And it really, I didn't even realize the importance of the casting when I did it, so that was a problem. But it was like that show, to see a show that like celebrates Blackness in the way that that show does. And that particular production, the Broadway revival, I think that's pretty much what they're going to kind of base it off of. But it's so
Yeah,
cool.
which is the better version. Let's be wrong.
I mean, yes, it is. It's so good. Yeah, it's so celebrating Blackness in that way is good, and that's where I think the art needs to pivot right now.
Mm,
I think that we've been trying to have conversations and change minds with art for so long, but I'm like, what if we just tell the narrative that we want?
yeah.
What if we just exist in our Blackness and our happiness and our
Mm.
queerness and our whateverness, and just let that be our protest.
Yes, without having to go through this belabored narrative, explanation about why it's significant or why it should matter to you. Like when I watched the My Power video from
Mhm,
the part of the Black is King,
mhm.
and there are so many elements that like like aren't if you aren't black or have like spent time and significant time around blackness, there are so many references that you would just not even get.
Right.
And I'm not African, so there are many things that I didn't African references that I'm like, I know that's not an American reference, but like, where did that come from, and who are these artists, and what language are they speaking, and like, there were just so many levels that I was like, whoa, my curiosity is piqued, and I feel like inclined to learn more. And um, what's been so powerful, the fact that they're considering a Once on This Island, adaptation. Just the fact that like people of color, Black and Brown communities, their stories are being like really put forward through art. And so I know we talked a little earlier about American theater and being like eye roll, but there's some elements,
Yeah.
usually with Lin-Manuel Miranda behind them, that are doing. I mean, once I watched the In the Heights trailer
Oh
for the
my God.
I cried. Like
That
the
that
first time I watched
trailer,
it, I just bawled.
that trailer, like I don't know what it was about that trailer. Like the colors, it was just such a vibrant. Like you felt the energy. There
Yes.
was something so exciting about that trailer. And I was
Hmm.
telling people, I was like, that film is going to be nominated for Best Picture. And they were like, okay. And I was like, I'm so serious. I was like, I really think like it just looks stunning and it feels good. And it's telling. I love In the Heights because it really does immerse you in that neighborhood for like
Hmm.
2 hours.
Yes.
And it's just a fun and Lynn, what I like about Lynn's writing, as like there's a lot of conversation about like who's behind like his producers and like all that stuff, and they are very heavily white, but that's just theater. That's America. Those are the systems that we're in.
Yeah.
um he employed a lot of folks and made a lot of folks like Leslie Odom Jr. and Chris Jackson and like Philippa Sue, household names. Like those people were overlooked by everyone for years, and now we know who they are, and that's because of Lin-Manuel
Yeah.
Miranda. Anyway, um, but he is just someone who never saw himself on stage, both like ethnically, but
Hmm.
also there were no roles for him because he's not the strongest singer. And I think for a while he was like, I'm a rapper, and there are and I like to rap. This is the way that I hear
I'm a
music.
wordsmith. I speak in these ways. I have a voice that carries this presence and this cadence. And like when you know there's the role for the tenor and the role for the baritone, and like he's definitely in the baritone. So you're either the villain or the dad, you know.
For sure.
But like, what if I want to be the hero? What if I want to be the the leader? What if I want to be the example? And my voice isn't what the archetype has been set to be, then am I not meant to be there? And then also, how I look and how I present and how I act, like can I be seen as a hero, as a creator, and stepping into that power and saying yes, and then like reaching out to people and saying like, I see yours too, let's do it together. That's the kind of work that we need to see shaping our media, period. Everything from the stage to the screen and to the streets and the music that we listen to. And I think we're really seeing that culmination take place here in 2020 in a way that I was going to say that we've never seen before. But what we do know is that historically, at times of social transformation, the art and the culture are the templates, are the directions, the plan to get there. Yeah, exactly. The blueprint, the way to like, here's some ideas, here's some prompts. And the fact that like so much dance music has come out this year is not, and lots of like disco revival stuff is because like people are like, man, through all of this misery, we have to like be willing to dance and express ourselves and like just let that go. Because when we're able to do that in our physical body, then we're able to do that in the physical world.
Well, because art is also the time capsule. So it's capturing this specific moment, which, as dark as some of the days are with all the headlines and stuff, like it's because it's so overwhelming. You're like, what is happening? But there is a lot of joy as well. There always has to be joy amidst darkness. They don't exist without each other. And so having, the dance music, the disco revivals, having Black is King, having just fun conversations and commentary is also important.
Brandy's new album.
Let's talk about B7, because I listened to it twice yesterday. And it gave me really big full moon vibes. I feel like what I like about the album, I think that my favorite Brandy album, and I'm like standing on an island by myself with this. I know I am, but I love Human. Human and I are best friends. Like we can't.
That was the Brandy album I connected to at a very interesting time in my life.
Yes, I made a whole musical out of it. We can talk about that another time.
Oh, that would be incredible.
But that album like just spoke to me in such a real, and it still does. I can throw it on right now and listen to every single song through, except probably Shattered Heart. That's like the one song that I'm like, but it's okay. But what I love about B7 is, unlike 211, which was also an incredible album, but I feel like 211 was Brandy attempting to fold into the fabric that is out there now, which I mean, in a lot of ways, she set that fabric, and now she's like, people are like, oh well, who is she trying? I'm like, she set the standard, so let's let's remember that. But then like B7 to me really feels like her therapy. It feels like an album that came from, it's the album that she needed to release. You know what I mean? It wasn't the album that anyone was asking for, and she honestly doesn't care.
Yeah. I mean, and many of the titles of the songs and the kind of like the singles that were released and things have like the songs that you hear are very much about this exploration, this kind of cathartic expression, this longing, this kind of like recollecting myself. The last track being Bipolar, kind of, and having multiple parts Brandy is the queen of interludes, and
Oh my God, everyone tries, but I
and,
mean, Brandy will kill you with the interlude, like, and will every
the
album.
break in the middle, the revisiting theme. I do appreciate Chromatica 1, 2, and 3. I will say,
Yes, yes.
but like just I think, but that kind of trope really we saw it really popularized and kind of solidified in R&B, and very specifically with Brandy and Janet Jackson, and especially in the commercial space. And so yeah, I have yet to listen to the whole thing. I've just been able to listen to a few of the songs. It came a fun shuffle and things, and I was like, okay, great. I'm glad, and I also just love her. Like, I'm just glad that again, here's another icon, another incredibly talented Black woman producing art for herself, for the community that loves her. And I watched a little sample of her listening party, and it was just her, like a live stream of her just jamming to her own music,
Just
and
killing it.
that's just like where we need to be right now. You know what I mean? Just feeling ourselves to our own beat and be like, I'm good.
Here's my suggestion to you:
Yes.
whenever you're about to take a nap or go to bed, pop on B7 and just like lay there and just like let it wash you, like just let it wash over you. It's I fell asleep to it last night. It was a very beautiful experience.
Wonderful. I just got some nice headphones too, so I'm just like,
yes,
and be like, give me all the sound, give me them runs, hun.
Soak it in. The runs. Okay, yeah, Brandy's not going to play with anybody with the vocals on this album. Dawaune.
Yes.
So much for chatting with me today. It was, of course, wonderful to speak with you as always, because you're just a genius.
And Nick, I love you so much, and we could literally talk forever. So
no, I was like, I have to stop us, or the people will be like, "Is this what's happening?" Which like you'd be fine with. But you'll hear more from Dawaune. He's going to join this batch of folks that are chatting with me, and also Dawaune. We always talk, so there's an interview from Dawaune coming down the pike as well. Well, that was fun, right? To get my hot takes on the hottest topics every week, tune in to WJMS Radio, where you'll hear me live 12 p.m. Central Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. That's WJMSradio.com, radio reimagined. You can also get this exclusive content by becoming a patron on my Patreon. Learn more about that by heading to nickwhitcomb.com. See you next time.